Hi. Many people ask me, what is your dissertation going to be on? So without boring them with a lot of scholarly talk, I tell them that I'm going to provide a practical way to enhance leadership training in decision making in federal government leaders. So as a 30-year veteran in the United States Navy, I realized that we make decisions all the time, and we make them in a lot of high tempo, high volume environments. And a lot of times we don't take the time to think about the emotional aspects of the decisions that we make. It's easy to say it's my decision and that's it, and I take the highway. But we're in a new age of social interaction that requires a bit more information. I decided to conduct an exploratory case study on the emotional components of decision making. My motivation or inspiration is to bring to life the importance of emotional and cognitive information available to federal government leadership. The research is important to me because there's more to leadership than just reasoning and understanding or reasoning and problem solving. We all have the ability to make any decision we like. However, we have a responsibility to be flexible and informed enough to consider things such as empathy and unconditional care. Because what I like to tell people, along with every decision we make, there are lives attached to each one of those decisions. So, as I stated earlier, the title of my dissertation and my research is called "The Emotional Components of Decision Making." It's an exploratory case study. The problem driving my research is that there's little information linking emotional cognition to cognitive events in most training programs, specifically those related to leaders within the federal government. Emotional and cognitive intelligence are essential aspects of decision making, according to Tasseret et al. 2017. The general problem is that there's no leadership training processes available in the literature to enhance emotional and cognitive recognition of decisions. The specific study problem is that high-ranking federal government employees or leaders in high-volume environments make decisions without understanding the emotional aspect of decisions that they make. And it may cause life-threatening events to occur to everyone involved. So why is the problem important to the field? First of all, society has changed in many ways. The times of autocratic leadership is no longer an effective means of reaching our employees. Gaining employees' respect and trust takes a great deal of emotional awareness. Of course, there are situations that require immediate decisions, which is why I stress the importance of leading in a high tempo environment. In the federal government, and particularly the Department of Defense, the tempo often dictates the decisions that we make. The interesting thing about this study is that there's no training that helps leaders recognize those emotions associated with their decisions and the biases that, if regulated well, can gain the trust and respect of their employees. The study needs to be done to help future leaders adapt to the current environment, which requires more sensitivity. This exploratory case study also addresses professional competence, which is a key component of leadership. It is okay to demonstrate emotional awareness, but as a leader, we must also show that we're knowledgeable in our field. A lot of times, the people that work for us, they tend to gravitate towards leaders who have a thorough understanding of their occupation. The method and design to solve this problem is a qualitative exploratory case study, which was selected. This case study research seeks to explore and illustrate the phenomena to develop an understanding of decision making. The phenomena, however, doesn't have to come from a singular individual or an event. In this case, I conducted 8 interviews of 4 civilian background leaders and 4 military retired background leaders with over 10 years of experience. In fact, most of the employees that I interviewed had over 20 years of experience, both civilian and military. The case study investigates emerging issues related to real-world situations, such as the nature of this study, which explores the experiences of federal government leaders from diverse occupations, lengths of service, and to be able to operate in high volume environments. I come from a high volume environment. I was a weapons officer in the Navy, and one of the things that I dealt with on every deployment I made was the situations that changed often due to the flight schedule, because I worked on the flight schedule of an aircraft carrier. Things change all the time. And when you deal with explosives, you don't have the time to reason and to give justification to every decision you make. But I think that with this research, if we can step back and take a few minutes to just think about how our emotions are affected, as well as how the employees are affected, I think it's going to go a long way if we can take that into account while we're making those important decisions. The primary skills that I found during this research, I had a primary skill and a secondary skill that I felt were important to my research. The primary skills developed from conducting this research, in my opinion, were the literature reviews. The literature review identified gaps in current literature to show that the process was detailed and relevant to the research problem. A thorough explanation of contrasting views of the topic on emotional awareness made it easy for the reader. I tried to make it easy for the reader to understand where I was coming from as a researcher. And I think I did a great job with that after I stepped back and really got a good understanding of the literature review and what it entails. The secondary skills that I developed from this was my understanding of alignment. Alignment to me was very difficult to understand, but once I again stepped back and realized that it's based upon my purpose statement, my problem statement, and my ability to help to visualize that alignment, and it enabled me to do a better analysis. So without a good literature review and without good alignment, it's virtually impossible to conduct good research. And that's what I learned from this. And the way I did that, honestly, is I just consistently throughout the research made notes of the purpose statements and the problem statements and tried to stay in alignment with the literature as I was writing it. And it helped me a lot. The one important thing discovered to date on this regarding this study was that it was my aha moment. My chair first had me identify my aha moment, and I had just finished my interviews when I realized that my aha moment was that, first of all, I realized that there was training that was available that I would not have known had I not conducted a thorough interview. The other aha moment was that it was validated, that what I thought needed to be done in this research was to identify different ways to train leaders on the emotional aspects of their decision making. It actually came out in the interviews. Most of the people that I interviewed, all of the people I interviewed understood the importance of emotional components of decision making, and they also understood that there was unconscious behaviors associated with that, and that they all had biases that needed to be addressed. It was just a matter of us identifying those biases. And that's where the future research is going to come in handy, when we can go out and we can look at different things such as neuro leadership, which I addressed in my study. And it came out that neuro leadership addresses biases, and those underlying influences can affect trust in an organization. So that's what I have on my research to present to you. I hope that it gave you a good understanding of my passion towards leadership. Again, I've been doing this for a very long time, and I think that this research has a potential to really reach a lot of people and affect a lot of lives. Thank you.